Morning, folks. I got a little video I'm putting together here for a couple of tips about self-filming your hunts. And first of all, let me tell you, I'm no expert in this field, but I love doing it. I've got a few videos on my channel that where I've managed to pull it off. Things weren't perfect, just like right now the camera's not level. There. I don't think I've gotten one video that's actually was perfect yet, but I'm getting there. I'm getting better at it. And I found a few things that I can do that takes the human equation out of it. So that's what I'm here to do, is to share some of that with you. And any of you who have better ideas or anything, leave them in the comments for me and whatnot, because I'm always open to a better idea or an easier way to do things. It's a lot of trouble lugging all this stuff up in a tree to try to self-film your hunts. First of all, the camera that I'm using, I'll put a video, I'll put some footage of my setup. I didn't want to do this from a tree because I just don't really like sitting in a tree and talking when I know there are deer all around me. So, but I will show the setup. The food plot that I'm sitting over is like a 1/4 acre food plot. Also have a feeder there, automatic feeder that we feed year round. It's a very dependable stand. I've got several kills out of that stand already with the bow. It's a meat stand. When I want to kill a deer for meat, that's my go-to. This camera that I'm recording on right now is my main camera. It's a Canon VIXIA HF G20. I bought it used off of eBay for about half the price of a new one. I'm using a TAKSTAR 598 shotgun microphone on top, which works great. You just have to make sure you remember to turn it on. If you've watched many of my videos, you've heard me complain about it because I've lost many segments for forgetting to turn that camera on. I mean that microphone on, which you can eliminate that problem by not using one. The onboard microphone on the camera works great, no problem with it. So, and also in the tree, I use that on a 4th hour camera arm, which they're great because they're adjustable. They'll fit any tree, and it doesn't matter what the angle of the tree is or anything. You can it's got a shoulder joint where you can level it up, and your camera arm is always level. So when you set it and you point it at something, it stays there. They're great camera arms. I also did a video a while back of these homemade camera arms that I made for putting my side view cameras. I buy these little handlebar mounts and put on these PVC pipe mounts that I've made. Just got a bolt in the middle, a few fittings. That's $10 right there, less than $10. So I've got about a dozen of those, so I can put them in my stands and leave them. And I take this, and generally what I'll use is I have these other cameras. They're wide view, or what you call fisheye cameras. This is a Camo Cam. They're fantastic cameras. I don't have the back on it right now. These are great cameras. Just one touch, you just hit the button, it comes on, starts recording. My biggest tip that I want to give you here today is about these. They're phone chargers. It's a battery. This battery, when it's fully charged, is supposed to be able to charge your smartphone at least 3 times. Well, if you'll take that battery, they come with this short cord, and plug it into the back of this camera, it will run until you run out of memory. And with a 32 gig card in the camera, that's a long time. It'll run 5 or 6 hours without any problem. And of course, you can change the settings on these cameras from 1080 to 720 and get even more life out of it. As long as your card holds up, this camera will keep running when this battery is hooked up to it. But you have to hook it up before you turn on the camera. So what I do is, you'll see in the shot that I give you of my setup, I hang this bag on my camera arm and drop that battery in it, plug it into the back of the camera before I turn the camera on. And so the camera can run continuously while I'm in the stand. I'm not going to be sitting in the stand 5 or 6 hours, more like 2.5 or 3. But these, on its own, these cameras, you only get between an hour and an hour and a half of recording time on them. So I can set this camera up, turn it on, record the entire time that I'm hunting, and I have no issues with it. I've got plenty of footage, so if anything happens, I get a shot, kill a deer, any footage that I want, I've got it on these cameras. And so I use 2 of them, and of course I haven't been able to find any more of the camo cams. I had 2 of those, and one of those died last year, but I found this one. This is called an Air Cam. They're made by Eon also. This is an Air Pro 2. It works exactly like the other camera, exactly. There's no difference in it, no difference except for the color. They do exactly the same thing. Same very high quality video. The sound, they don't pick up the ambient sound that great, but when you make a shot or anything, it does get that. You do get the sound out of it. So one of these saved me on one of my videoed hunts, the freaky buck. If you see that video, every bit of that footage came from one of these cameras. It saved me. It captured me making the shot. It captured the animal, the shot, and the animal leaving, all from one camera view. So I've got one of these sitting on both sides of me. So I'm covering a really large area with these cameras. Now those cameras they're kind of pricey. They can be anywhere from $150 to $200 a piece unless you can look up and find a good one used. Also have this is a GoPro knockoff, 30 bucks. And it comes with a whole box full of stuff. You get the clear waterproof case. You get all kinds of mounts and everything that you can use to mount this camera anywhere you want. And somewhere in my bag, I have some small. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. I have these little things. This is a camera mount. They come 3 in a pack. Found them in Walmart. Got a wing nut on it there. This thing will screw right into the bottom of this camera. This camera screws right into the bottom of it. And you can screw that into a tree or a post or anything and put that where you want. This camera also works with these batteries, but you have to plug it in first before you turn on the camera. And this camera will run until it runs out of memory off of this battery. So you can set this thing on the ground to capture your shot, or you can have it on sitting in a tree somewhere over there looking back up at you in the tree. Anywhere you want to put a camera, you can do that. And it will run for hours. You can put it in the waterproof case and mount it with that little thing right there, and you're good to go. So those are my cameras that I'm using so far, and that's how I get by with not having much of anything else to mess with. The only camera that I've got that I need to remember to turn on is the LiDCAM. I bought this thing at Walmart, found a good deal on it. They're usually 150 bucks for this camera, and Walmart was getting rid of them for $74.99, or $74.97, something like that. So I had to have one, and it takes great video. It really does. It gets your perspective of everything. It also doubles as a headlight, so you've got that. But again, about an hour to an hour and a half of video time on this camera. You can do the same thing with it that you do with these other cameras. You can plug something into the back of it, but the back of this camera is right up against my forehead. I could probably push it out enough to plug in the wire, but I'm probably not going to do that. It just leaves me with one camera. I had a Tacticam on the front of the bow, and the Tacticam has given up on me. And I'll be honest with you, the Tacticam takes great video. It doesn't get a lot of sound for you, and I'm just not really impressed with it capturing the shot with the bow. It might do a little bit better on your shotgun or something, but I wasn't really impressed with doing it with the bow. I've tried it, I've gotten footage using it, and it's going to jump with the bow. I mean, I don't care how dead your bow is in your hands when you shoot, it's still going to move and distort the shot. So it has quit on me, so I may just not worry with putting another camera on the bow because I've got the LiDCAM. Tickled to death with it. It really does work great. And so 32 gig card, about an hour and a half recording time on it. So that takes care of all my cameras. Also, when I know I'm going to be in a setup just like the one I'm showing you, I have 2 game cameras on the ground, 2 game cams, and I use the Brownings, and I usually try to make sure I have a couple of the smart IR cameras set in those positions where my deer are most likely to be when I take a shot. Doesn't always work out that way, and a game cam's not always going to capture it, but when it does, it works great. And you can look at my video, Doe Kill Final Cut, and you'll see the pass-through shot, beautiful, that was captured with a Browning trail camera. So that's my tips for self-filming your hunts. Make things a little easier on you, get a lot more life out of your camera. Turn them on and forget about it and you're recording. I mean, it gives you a lot of footage to go through when it comes time to edit, but I'd rather have a lot of footage than to not have any. So that's my tip, and hope somebody found something in here that they can use, and hope everybody kills them a big one this year.